Describe when and why you started making music and why you still make music today. You got to be kidding.
Hi, it's great to be back with you. I am feeling well. Mind if I just sing? I'll start upon hearing the bell. Mommy's baking birthday bread and Daddy's drink destroys his head and little distant cousins asleep. And I'm a cool daddy-o. Cool daddy-o.
I often attribute Madonna as being the sole death of rock and roll. Once that happened, it was all style over content. Dance, have to dress up, music, creativity went out the door.
You should see their eyes. Mommy's polishing pottery and Daddy wins the lottery and Grandma's little nephew's in bed.
Ever since I can remember, I have been my own little record label from the basement of my home, pretending that I was like the big boys. I make a recording, we can listen to it back, I can make you a copy of it. I have a record company. My act is kind of stream of consciousness, which drives some people crazy. So I lack focus. Of course, I kind of get off on that. Nothing to worry about. Robert Stephen Moore is my name. All through the 70s, I was home recording, making my own records, as I was just talking about. My own tapes, not records. I wasn't pressing up records. Couldn't afford that. But anybody could get a reel-to-reel tape recorder and go and buy fresh reels of blank tape and go nuts. And that's exactly what I've been doing my whole life. And I'm put into the indie rock category. And how hilarious is that? Because as much as I love, and I have always loved underground music, underground college, back then it was college music, college rock. Now it's indie. Well, indie, the whole world is turning indie because the corporations are falling. You have to be indie. Whether it's online or pressing up a split 7-inch single on red vinyl, that's all indie. Drummer, bass player, guitar, lead vocalist. We love that stuff. College music, it's always been around. But back then it was a different kind of music because it wasn't mainstream. The major labels wanted people like Journey and Styx, and you know what that's all been like for decades. I grew up on everything that came out was like unusual. And it would hit the top of the charts. It wasn't like it was weird and totally non-mainstream.
Someone tell me what I'm supposed to do when the occasion comes around for me to prove I am good. I can't find the answer to the question, even though I'd like to demonstrate if only I could. You are just part of the problem. I must be most of the problem. I'm serious.
So I'm the old geezer complaining about, the kids. And it's been difficult because I have such a long catalog of works. Most people, my best stuff is my old Nashville period. It's so bizarre to be back in Nashville now because all for 30 years living in New Jersey, and I've been making music all that time, it was always like, well, the golden period of our Stevie Moore is before he moved to New Jersey. And we're talking 1970 to 1978. That's all my early recordings. I was so into being different. Living in Nashville back then was incredibly rough because all you had was boogie and Allman Brothers, and Southern rock. And it's changed so much now. And to come back as sort of the godfather of not just to my own music, but just musical taste. It's great to see that there's just so much, people that are interested in Frank Zappa and Captain Beefheart and classical and world beat and hip hop. I mean all the different things. Back then it was all only boogie, Charlie Daniels Band. And that was one of the reasons I moved to New Jersey. Get the hell out of here. Because I was making music that sounded like all my heroes of the 70s. David Bowie and Elton John and Sparks and Roxy music and, cutting edge stuff. Very cool stuff. Nobody knew about it here at all, except record collectors. And then when I moved to New Jersey, it was big happening up there. Talking Heads, Ramones, Sex Pistols, golden period. I fit right in.
Paper, drinking ink, eating paper. I wanna see you. I wanna see what you look like. I wanna watch you. I wanna see what you're wearing. I wanna see you. I wanna see what you look like. I wanna watch you. I wanna see what you're wearing. Thursday is hot. Wish that I could swim.
I need your love, just as I need my love. I say I need your love.
Self-released, which really isn't released at all. And again, these aren't just songs, they're just tracks. I do every kind of music. I'm always constantly having to remind people is he any good? Well, it's not the point that if I'm any good or not. It's that I embrace every style. I'm very diverse. It has to be an eccentric blender mixtape. Everything I've ever done sounds like a radio show. A free-form radio show where one song sounds totally different than the next, because I like to do all styles. And back in the day, that's what it was all about. You would play punk rock, and then you'd follow it with a Mahler symphony, and some Miles Davis bop jazz, and then some spoken word, and then some little kid down the street who made a bad tape, and then you'd play Elvis, and then Hank Williams, and you run the gamut. Just go across the board, freeform, all or nothing at all.
We are now going to feature our talented musical guest artist for this evening's program. Welcome, if you will, our Stevie Moore. Yeah!
Does this ever happen to you?
I shouldn't talk too much about this, but a running joke ever since I've lived here the past month and a half is to track down Jack White, who seems to be the mayor of Nashville now. He runs this town, and I'm a huge White Stripes fan. Who isn't? I mean, but then now they've broken up, whatever. Time's flying by, isn't it? But he has this great Nashville thing, and what could be better than for him to discover me or for me to discover him? But I sure would like to barge in on him. People tell me just walk in. I'd like to make an appointment, please. That's pretty much my forte, is my back catalog. So I'm constantly submitting things for whether it's a split 7-inch or a box set. Always working with labels. but it's not happening as often as perhaps it should. I don't wait and hear from these labels much. Almost all of my material is unreleased officially. It's all released